Okay, I should probably... There we go, Michael, look, it's pretty large, GUI, there we go, nice, very, absolutely fantastic. Wasn't it like, oh, something, like, oh yeah, okay, right then, shit, right, well, turn it to dusk. Come on, disappear, text, disappear. No, you know what, I'm just gonna turn the chat off, aren't I? Multiplayer settings, chat is hidden. Ha! LMAO got him. We can do that again. Hello everybody, my name is Nano, and per popular request, like 2 people requested it, here is a tour of the new Agelight / Mage Life map, whatever. And by new I mean it's a year old, so you're seeing like a year's progress of map building here. This is just kind of to showcase the, the map and how far it's come since... Yeah, you get the point, anyways, we're currently in the Delacour Badlands, which are the Badlands of the region of Delacour, hence why they're called the Delacour Badlands. And we are now approaching the Blue Forest, which is a place that in the lore we probably shouldn't be entering, because else we're gonna be dead. But seeing as we're not gonna be dead, we're going to enter it anyways, because there's nothing to kill us here except for our imagination. God, okay, that was kind of weird. Yeah, there's the tower. We're not gonna go to the tower though, because that would be pretty spoilery, to be honest, and so we're just not gonna deal with that for now. Instead, we're gonna walk along the riverbank of this nice river here. Why is my... Oh, okay, I need to apologize for 2 things. Firstly, the mic quality, which might be not as good as it should be, and you might be hearing my keyboard noises. That is... Well, the thing is, I used to have my mic up on a shock arm thing, and the end thing of that was made of plastic, and it broke, and I'm gonna have to look for a replacement. So for now, my mic is just sat on my desk. And the second thing is, my mouse is kind of stuttery, and I don't... It's only here in Attack of the B-Team for some reason, but I don't know how to fix that. It's been here for... But anyways, we're now... We just crossed a very safe and not very rickety bridge, and now we're scaling a hill, kind of a hike, but yeah. Yeah, see, the mouse just kind of jumps. It's only when I record, which is the weird thing, because I'm recording with XSplit Gamecast right now, because OBS is... I don't know, I broke my OBS, so... Yeah, there's the eye of the monolith, because we're in the universe Monolith 25 right now. And yeah, these flowers, these glowing flowers along the path have been planted artificially. That's not a natural thing. It's a very... We're in the Centricial Empire right now, and having your roads lit up, no matter how insignificant they may be, is a very centricial thing to do. It's part of a philosophy that sprang up a couple of 100 years before the events of Agelight, the light and life philosophy of the Baroque age. Yeah, here's a monument to one of humanity's greatest heroes, Ioran Enki. And also more commonly known as Zero Reaper. No idea who that guy is, but I like his skin. Because that's where the statues mod works. And we're now, slowly but steadily, encroaching upon the graveyard, which we're not going to have too in-depth of a look at. It's just kind of a neat little graveyard of the settlement we are about to visit, which is called Blackmuns Rock. And Blackmuns Rock is actually a settlement that I mentioned the Baroque era, the Baroque age, and Blackmuns Rock was founded during that time, so you'll see a lot of the central Baroque architecture. I'll be using terms like Baroque and modern and modernism and stuff like that. That is the in-universe equivalence here. We're not talking about the actual real-life Baroque age or the real-life modernist age. And there we can see the settlement of Blackmuns Rock, which we are fast approaching. And here you can see again how the paths are just kind of very lit up, which in other parts of this universe you wouldn't see. Like if you're down south in Basteria, you wouldn't see any of that. You also wouldn't see chickens with squid hats. I mean, you wouldn't see those generally, but yeah, I don't know what to do about the hats mod yet, but I'll get it out of the way somehow. And yes, that over there is Blackmuns Tower. Now, Blackmuns Rock is called Blackmuns Rock because it was founded by the famous explorer Blackmun. And he built his tower there, and people wanted to come live with him, so they came and built their houses, and suddenly you have a settlement. And because it's up on this big rock thing, they called the whole thing Blackmuns Rock. And here we have the stables of aforementioned Blackmuns Rock. These signs would also have names on them, I just haven't come up with any yet. Because the whole map is kind of work in progress still, but I feel like there's enough progress made to be able to shoot a little tour video. And again, it's been requested by my entire fan base, which is like 2 people. This is this style, this architectural style, which I guess is kind of similar to what you'd see in terms of dwarven architecture, or something like that in Lord of the Rings, or something similar to that. This is, I like to call it geometricism, because it's geometric. I'm very creative like that. It's focuses a lot on triangles and stuff like that. It's kind of an evolution out of modernism, which was more focused on squares, but we'll see some modernist buildings in this town here. And yeah, this is the settlement of Blackmuns Rock. Very small settlement even today, and still very ingrained in its Baroque roots and light and life and all of that. Most of these houses are furnished. They just kind of, a lot of this still like lacks character, because I actually haven't thought about who the citizens of Blackmuns Rock would be like too in depth. So there's no like names of any citizens anywhere. So it's kind of a little bit impersonal. I still tried to make the houses kind of nice. Like you have that with a nice fireplace and all of that. Also, the metal of these lampposts is Invar, which is the main metal that is used in the Central Empire. Again, it's like an imperial thing. It's like lighting up your roads. Then here we have the man himself, Blackmun the Explorer, who lived from the 634th to the 710th year of the 7th millennium. And there he is, holding gears. I was very creative with the person whose skin I chose. I just went for Explore, because the way that the statues mod works, right? You have this, and then you get your statues hammer, and then you kind of go in here and you put in a skin, and there you go. That's your you can even color it. There you go. And that's me. Look at that. There I am. Absolutely lifelike. But the problem is there's no it's when you want to create statues of somebody and you don't have any friends who you know have those skins. What I tend to do is I just kind of put in the name of whatever I want the statue to be, like an explorer, and then just kind of mess around with the name until it's a skin I like. It's a very efficient system. Not really, but anyways, here's the notice board of Blackmuns Rock. As you can see, there's some lecture nights planned at the library. The library being this building right here, Library of Delacour. This is kind of a nice build, in my opinion. It's very quaint, you know, like this entire town is, but, well, you have your different sections of books and stuff and things. And this here is a modernist build. It's not a very stylized modernist build, it's just kind of, it's what followed the Baroque age when they ran out of money and just started doing simpler stuff, really. And they had sort of a renaissance of, like, they revitalized an older architectural style, which we'll also see later when we hit the Imperial City. But, yeah, a lot of these buildings are modernist. And modernism, like modern architecture, I guess, or the in-universe equivalent of modern architecture here, is also a couple of 100 years old, so it's not really, like, as in our world, modern architecture is also a century old by now. But yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. This is a great video. Here we have the Top Rock Tea Room, as well as the Top Rock Bakery. So these are kind of the same company, or group of people, or guild, or whatever's kind of running them. I haven't figured out the lore for that quite yet. And as you can see, this is a great tea room. There's lots of nothing in here. As of yet, of course, there will be stuff in there at some point. And yeah, this is the bakery, the town bakery. And then this here is a build that I'm actually quite fond of. This is the new town hall. Because until the year, the 14th year of Millennium 8, they used Blackmuns Tower as town hall, and then at some point they decided, no, we're gonna build our own town hall. And this is one of my favorite geometricist buildings that I've built on the map. I just think it's really, I really like this build. It's kind of, it's simple, it's good, it does what it wants, and also it's kind of also a blend with modernism, with the type of modernism that they have here with this style block here. So it's kind of like, you know, it sticks to the roots of the town. It's a nice build. I like it. And the interior is very, very Millennium 8. This is very contemporary. Because for furniture and stuff, in the 8th millennium, which is the millennium that Agelight is set in, they've kind of revitalized an older, like an older period of design, which is the Humanic Age, which was in the 5th millennium. So, about 3,000 years difference. Then this is just kind of their modern take on all of this old stuff, like, you know, you have in real life. But yeah, this is one of my favorite builds on the map. I think it's fantastic. Probably one of the best things I've done on here, but I already said that. And let's move on to Blackmuns Tower, the build that's a little too over-decorated, because that's what the Baroque architecture in the Centricial Empire was all about. It was about cramming in as much detail as possible, and I feel I've done a pretty good job with that mission here. It's an absolutely messy build, and I love it. It's perfect. It's the pinnacle of Baroque architecture. And yeah, this the tea room, by the way, would be like a little. It's a little bit less expensive. It's still like a fancy build, but not that fancy for the Baroque standards. And then this is part of that. Like Blackmun actually had this built in his honor just before he died, because he wanted a monument to himself for having founded this town. And then the staircase. These staircases would be either from late modernism or the early. It's from the early Depression years, because there was a big economic collapse. Like half a century after modernism started, which was the Arcane Depression, and that just kind of, whatever was left of the opulence of the Baroque age was kind of swept away with that. And then here you have another. Yeah, this is basically geometricism is triangles. That's the entire idea behind the architecture. And the entire idea behind modernism is straight lines that sometimes form rectangles. Just like in real life, but less creative. And a lot more repetitive. Anyways, we could now take this road into the Imperialis, which is a region that borders Delacour. But we're not going to do that, because that road isn't finished yet. Instead, we're going to take this little path, which will take us down into the underbrush, along this path, which is lit up by this moss here. Planting this ember moss at the sides of your roads was a thing that they did during the modernist age. It started in the late Baroque age, but they did it mainly in the modernist age. Because they couldn't afford lamps anymore. No, but the problem with it is I'm in creative mode right now, but if I were to go into survival, this would burn me, and that's why it's not done anymore, because it's entirely unsafe. But it does light up the path very cheaply, and you don't have to spend money on having street lights for hundreds upon hundreds of miles of road, which is what they did do in the Baroque age. Then here we just have a little ford, which is they use this sunken humanic build to get over to the other side, because this isn't like an official road, so the Empire doesn't like care about this road that much. So it's kind of the people that take care of this road, which I'm not going to tell you what people they are, because that would be spoilers. They don't put a lot of resources into this road, and there's a reason behind that, which I'm also not going to tell you. Essentially, I'm going to tell you nothing and just leave you very confused about everything, and make you click away from this video as soon as possible. Then here we come to another very professionally built bridge. And we are now coming across the marshes of the Imperialis. So this Birch Forest is already in the Imperialis, and that over there is Delacour in the Pine Woods. As you can see, this path is perhaps a little bit muddy, perhaps given to the fact that it's inside of a swampy marsh. I was gonna say swamp, but then I remembered it's more of like a marshland. So I fixed it. Again, they still have this ember moss here, which doesn't catch anything around it on fire. It's just like when you touch it, it's really hot, and it can burn you. And also, there's a chance that it'll spontaneously light your entire body on fire. So that's why it isn't used anymore as roadside lighting. And nowadays, they just have torches that are magically sustained. Then after each rain, they go in and put the torches back on because they went out because of the rain. Because not even magic can combat rain. This is a great video. Anyways, as you can see over there in the distance, there's some very large buildings. There's also some very large buildings in the sky. And we are coming on to a nice coastal port town, which doesn't have a name yet. That's why I'm just going to refer to it as the port town. Actually, it does have a name, I just forgot about it. I had it written down somewhere, but... And these are the main warehouses of the Airy Trading Company, which is where all of the cargo that comes in from ships is kind of stored in these warehouses. There's no cargo in there yet, because I haven't had the chance to build it yet. And you also might notice that these platforms, the floors in these warehouses are made out of a very transparent, icy substance that's quite cold and looks like ice, and it is ice. It's magically grown ice, and the reason why it's ice is because over in that direction there's a huge city in the ocean grown entirely out of magical ice called Sarkia. And that's just kind of the stylistic trends carrying over the ocean to what they have here. And also it's just kind of cheaper if you don't have to have carpenters put in lots of floors. You can just ask your mage friends to grow you a floor. So that's why that is ice and not something more quaint like wood. Also, there's going to be a big tower here at some point, and from this tower mage workers would kind of unload the ships, heave the objects into the air, and put them into this warehouse here, from where other workers would distribute them through holes in the walls that only partially exist at this point. Like, here we have a hole. Look, it's a hole. Would distribute them into these other warehouses for storage until somebody comes and picks them up. And then here's the actual town, which will probably be like twice its current size when it's finished. This is kind of a coastal architecture style, which is still built today, though it has its roots in the aforementioned Humanic Age 3,000 years ago. This style only like developed 2,500 years ago. And it's characterized by colorful roofs and colorful windows. And this is the old lighthouse, which is technically still in use, but not really, because they have a new one right there, except it's not built yet. And then this here is the main, these are the main airship docks, because they have airships. Isn't that cool? And here you'd have airships landing and being unloaded via the same tower that I mentioned before, and then taking off again and going wherever they feel like going next. And then if people land in the airship and they want to stay here, they'd open one of these trapdoors and climb down one of these ladders and walk down one of these stairs, then look at one of those mechanisms that keep the entire thing afloat. Or they could not do that and just walk on straight ahead, and then there'd be an attendee here, a mage attendee, who'd throw a stone into the middle of this circle and do that, and then they'd be teleported to somewhere down there. But that's currently not happening because it's not finished yet. What is also still very, very unfinished is this thing here, which is going to be a road / railway cargo line that transports these goods and people to the Imperial City, which we shall now check out. I just kind of mark stuff that I still need to build with wool, because what else would I mark it with? I'm a great narrator. This is a great video. And here you can see the remnants of a previous build that I tore down because it was garbage. And anyways, now we have seamlessly and very immersively arrived at the road leading up to the Imperial City. The eye is straight above. When the eye is straight above, you can actually take an airship and fly through the eye, and then you will have left the universe, and then you can travel to other universes through a cool dimension called the multiverse, or more currently, the outside, or the outside lands. But that's, there we go. Yeah, stuttering can happen here. And that is the Imperial City right up there. And no, that isn't a suspension bridge, that is in fact a gate. And we are coming up on what appears to be, what should be, if I'm not mistaken, this giant city that I built. And if we were on horseback, we would drop our horse off at the stables. And then we would walk up these big steps, looking at the swords, the Invar swords, mind you, that these statues are holding, and we would look at this gate, and then we would continue on into the Imperial City. And yes, this is in fact the Imperial City. And the Imperial City is like 40% finished, like it's not, it's nowhere near being completed, but the parts needed for the immediate future have been completed. These stores here are not part of the things that need to be completed for the immediate future. As you can see, they are not built yet. Therefore, they look very empty. And this road we're on, by the way, this is the Nethearan. This is the main road of the Imperial City, and it leads right from the gate back there, all the way across this bit, to where will be the Imperial Palace, or as its proper name is, the Dalamirian Palace. But that isn't built yet, so now we're going to turn around and run back to places where there's actual stuff, and I do apologize for the stuttering. It's usually not this bad, but I guess it's because I'm recording. Also, now I'm going to have to turn my render distance up to far, because otherwise it's going to look absolute crap. There we go. Oh my god, 20, 19, 17 FPS? Yeah, usually I get like 100 in here, but okay, anyways. Let's have a look at the stuff that we can find here. These pine wood houses here, these are called the blotches, and this is sort of the slums of the Imperial City, because this valley here, it's actually not too long ago that there was nothing here, because this gate is fairly new. It's about 10 years old, and it's one of the best examples of geometricism. As you can see, there's a lot of triangles, like the gate is a literal triangle. Cool thing about the gate as well is that it closes, so I could just go in here. Oh, this is gonna crash. This is really gonna bring the FPS down, but yeah, I could flick that lever there and then get around here in time to see the gate closing. And you may wonder, well, how did that bit of the gate drop from down below if there's literally nothing here? And that's because of the way that the gate works. The sliding bit, the wooden sliding bits, whatever you'd call them, what's the name for them? They are stored in an extra dimensional space, and then as soon as you flick the lever, they are pushed out into this space, and that way, actually it was just done like that so that it looks cool, so that some small kid from Basteria who's coming up here, up the stairs, looking up, and he sees the gate closing, like, oh my god, Mum, why did the gate, why? Yeah, this is a cool build, because this is a very current build. It's a it's a contemporary geometricist architect who built a Humanic Age tower. And this here is Humanic architecture. This is the old gate of the city, before they built the new one over there, so that they could run straight from there all the way to the Imperial Palace. And this here, this isn't Humanic architecture, but this bit of town here is Humanic architecture. And they built a lot of towers back in the 5th millennium. They built a lot of these, and they built a lot of these types of houses as well. And these Art Deco looking factory builds, which kind of are an intrinsic part of the city. And then the wall here isn't really Humanic architecture, because this is a Karuli architecture style. Karuli are half humans and half Donners, which is another race that isn't human, and the Karuli are half human, and this is one of their architecture styles. I have not thought of a proper name for it yet, except like, I think something like juvenalism or something like that, I don't know. And this is quite typical for that, because this gate and this wall was actually a present to the early empire from a city in the multiverse called Locaia Under the Gates. That's funny, Locaia Under the Gates built a gate, huh? And they had, at that point, the city was majority Karuli, so they built it in this style. And then this road here, which leads, or will lead over to a huge multiverse portation circle that I'll build at some point in my life. This road here is in a even different style. This has basically nothing to do with Humanic architecture anymore. This is the work in progress name for it, put it that way, is formalism. And it was kind of and Humanic architecture was actually kind of a counter movement to this. And as you can see, there's lots of rectangles and repetitive lines and all of that. And if you can still think straight, you might have guessed it, formalism was what modernism was based off of. And a great example of a modernist build is this building here, which is the Heart Star restaurant. It's one of the finest restaurants in the Imperial City. So this is a great example of modern architecture. And then this here, this bridge that we just walked across, is a great example of Baroque architecture. As you can see, it is very over-detailed, absolutely pointless in some places, but hey, they liked it that way back then. This was the pinnacle of what architecture looked like. And the Baroque architecture evolved out of the Humanic architecture. And anyways, there's one more place that I can show you here in the city that has already been built. and that is this place here, the Dalamirian, not the Dalamirian, the Deccan Plaza, which is one of the main squares in town. So we can walk down these steps here, and you might notice these colorful tiles everywhere on the ground, and those are typical of Deccan architecture, or the Decca is the capital of the Eastern Empire, which is nowadays a part of the Centricial Empire. So this plaza, the Deccan Plaza, was kind of an ode to the architecture of the Eastern Empire, and it was built when the Eastern Empire became a part of the Centricial Empire. And these stores are also very done, just like every store in this town. But yeah, none of these, most of these things aren't final yet. But yeah, this is kind of a nice plaza. I actually really like how this turned out, like with the clay and everything, and how the doors are kind of always a different texture than this over here. And yeah, I could go on for hours, but I really like this plaza. I'm kind of proud of it. And then this is probably one of my favorite things that I've ever built, is just this wall over here, because this is just kind of the character of the Imperial City just summarized, with these kind of prefab houses below this thing and kind of supporting it. And then you have this other thing up here with this newer district on it. This district here, this is the Midwall District. Oh, and now it's missing a roof bit. And this here is it's usually referred to as the castle, but technically it's the Tracen District. And the Tracen District was originally built by, it was essentially founded by a group of mages that got thrown out of their apartments on the Deccan Plaza, because behind all of these windows there will at some point be finished and furnished apartments that will be just about exactly this size. So this is very high living. And these young mages got thrown out of their apartments, and they decided, you know what, we're going to build our own place. And the castle is what came out of it. That was about 100 years ago, and now this is just not a very good neighborhood to be in. A much better neighborhood is the aforementioned Midwall District, or Thorvagan. This is a very contemporary neighborhood. There were some old buildings here, but they tore them down and built the geometricist houses here. And yeah, this is the Midwall, and then this place over here that we were already at, with this old Humanic bit of town, which will go along here essentially until this cliff here, and then here will be the city wall. This part of town, together with the old gates, which has the old city park on top of it, and this newer settlement here, together these make up the Garden Wall District. And yeah, I don't know about this park. This would be, again, one of the oldest structures in the Imperial City, and I don't quite know what exactly I want to do with it yet. Like, if I just want to leave it like this, like it's kind of neglected at this point, or if I want to have it, actually have it be a nice garden, like I guess it kind of is over here. But I don't know about that yet. And most of these districts aren't really very finished yet. Like, if you walk along here, there's just nothing here besides the houses. And, like, the rough framework of what's to come. Like, there's no personality here yet. Except for this. There's this one place that I kind of started furnishing, but haven't really done yet. This is, this, collection of buildings here, is owned by a family that is from the sky, from the aether. And they moved down here, and their house here, this is where they actually live, is very much in the style of the airships that they have up in the sky, which are different from the centrifugal airships. And again, it's not finished or anything. It's not, but yeah. And then this is this little outcropping here. And you might notice this plinth here looks different than the tower bit here, and that's because there was an older tower here that they tore down to build their new tower on. Here, this is CTAR stands for what was it? Karushia Terranvagan Airship Registrar number 9. Karushia Terranvagan is the humanic name for the Imperial City, so the original name of the settlement. And yeah, so this is another airship dock, but for a smaller airship than airships that would dock on places like that. Speaking of airships, you might have noticed this hole in the wall here, and this hole will lead through to the city's main airship docks, which will be kind of around this valley here. And oh yeah, right, completely forgot about this place. This is where all of the rich people would live. Well, not in this one spot specifically, like this district, I think it's Delacour, yeah, the Delacour district would go around here, essentially in the blue area, though also like extending beyond to there, essentially where the bushes start over there. And yeah, one more thing that's worth mentioning about this place here. Why do I have two hands? What's going on here? One more thing about this is I mentioned the light and life philosophy of the Baroque age, and I've already told you this is like a Baroque neighborhood, and light and life kind of entailed having everything be completely colorless and as light as possible. So why then are there bluegrasses here and wacky looking flower pots and cherry trees that have red trunks and all of that? And that's because during the Arcane Depression, the rich people really wanted to show that they were rich, and so this kind of doesn't have a proper name yet, but I just, as a placeholder, I just call it like the fairy tale aesthetic came up, where, you know, you'd have these just surreal bluegrass and all of that, and that's kind of still held on with a lot of the nobility in, not nobility, a lot of the rich people in the Imperial City. Not nobility because there's also nobility, but they're more out on the land these days. And yeah, that's that about the bluegrass. I'm just looking for other stuff I could show off here, but I can't seem to find any. Most of these houses aren't furnished. Some are partially furnished, like this house here. Obviously this little room isn't furnished, but then up here you have kind of the old centrifugal place. I don't know why I showed this off, this isn't real, but I guess it's a good look at kind of like what the interior of a house like this feels like. But yeah, I've got no idea what to show off anymore at this point. I mean, I do, but I can't because of spoilers and other stuff. So yeah, I suppose we can end this by we can open the gate again because we closed that and doesn't look the best when closed. I don't know, I've been thinking about redoing the gate a little bit because the gate is actually I'm pretty sure it's the second structure that I ever built on this map. The first was the tower, which we passed on our way here, and the second, I'm pretty sure, was this game back in September of 2018. But yeah, let's take a walk down this road here. And we're going to head back to Blackmuns Rock, but on a different route and on an unfinished route. We're also gonna fly because this is pretty boring. But it's not a boring design. I actually think that this has kind of turned out really well. This is also, I'm pretty sure, in the intro bit thing of this video with the either the eye coming down or the sun coming up, or one of these things. But yeah, here you can see it's kind of unfinished, and I had a different idea there that didn't really work out, so... Oh my god. Oh, Jesus, come on. And, yeah, so now I want to have this new road kind of extend all the way there, and then go as a bridge over the river, and then from there have the road connect up to here. But for now, we've got this here. And, you know, I mean, it's kind of nice. It's not bad, per se. Got a nice little cabin over there. And, yeah. We're back in this forest. God, I'm gonna have to look up all the names of all these places again when I edit this video. I think this was like Nayar Forest, something like that. Now I used to be able to remember all of this stuff, but nowadays I just kind of don't so much anymore. But yeah, I think that should just about conclude this little tour. Wondering for a good spot to end this off. You know what? I have the perfect idea. We're gonna go right back into this little thing. Just gonna drop down here and not look at that sign and turn around and save and quit to title. And thank you very much for watching this little special Agelight world tour. I was thinking of doing more videos kind of on the map, and maybe just kind of record like my building process when it comes to building these sorts of things, and just kind of share that with you. But I don't know yet. This was just kind of a thing that I've been wanting to do for a while now, and now it's done, so it's pretty good, I guess. And yeah, have a good one.